My name is Ian Harnarine, and I am West Indian.
Thank you for tuning in. My name is Aaron Ishmael, and this is I Am West Indian, a show where we highlight good people doing great things, promoting our culture, and working for the betterment of our community. With us today is Ian Harnarine. Ian, how are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. All right. Well, first I want to ask you, where are you from?
I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada, but my parents are Trinidadian.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
I teach, I'm a professor, and I also am a filmmaker as well.
Okay. And what did you go to school for?
I studied physics and astronomy for my undergraduate degree, and then I also did a master's in nuclear physics, but then I sort of changed gears, and then I did my master's in filmmaking.
Gotcha. So astronomy, nuclear physics.
Yep.
It's a lot of heavy stuff. What made you pursue that? I mean, did you want to teach that, or is that something you felt like you wanted to be in like a laboratory and you just seeing asteroids headed to Earth, and you want to let us know about that or something?
No, I think growing up, I always was curious. I guess I still am curious about a lot of things, but growing up, I always wondered why about a lot of things, about just how when you flick on a light switch, what's happening so that the light actually turns on.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the sky blue? Things like that, like really kind of basic questions, but there were people that were trying to understand those things and explain those things. And then even the bigger questions about the universe and galaxies, those were the people that were trying to answer those questions.
And how does that transition from astronomy and nuclear physics to filmmaking?
I guess there's a few things. I guess in terms of the curiosity, I guess I find myself more curious about people now. Like the curiosity that I had for nature, which I still do have, but I'm more interested in people. And I think filmmaking is a way of just trying to understand people and their stories more.
Okay. Now, filmmaking. Now, your father was a huge Francis Ford Coppola fan. For those who don't know, he's a famous director for the 1972 film The Godfather. Huge film. You should watch it if you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And did that play? I guess did your upbringing kind of play into your filmmaking career, or how did that play into that?
My dad, well, he left Trinidad, I guess, in the '60s, and he moved to Chicago in the '70s. So he lived like for most of the '70s in Chicago, and I think it was there that he started to get exposed and appreciate movies a little bit more. And it's those things that I think that he passed down to me. Like we never really went to the movies a lot growing up, to be honest, but it was movies that he'd tell me about that I'd never heard of, because like in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Like there were old movies that he knew about that he would tell me, and then I'd go and get them and we'd watch them together. So that exposed me to a whole bunch of movies that I otherwise wouldn't have known about.
You guys have a whole library collection of VHSs, just sitting around.
Yeah.
Awesome. You ever notice how in The Godfather, like I always felt like in that trilogy, like a lot of Sicilian actors look West Indian. Like just because of like the Indian skin tone, like I felt
Dark
looking
skin.
at them. Yeah. Like it was an auntie and uncle that I knew.
The southern Italians and the Sicilians, definitely the dark skin.
Yeah, I was disappointed when I found out no Guyanese, no Trinidadian in that movie. But what are you gonna do? But you are also people can find you on IMDb, on Wikipedia, and right there you're famous to me, because I don't know, like how do you get on Wikipedia and IMDb? Is that something you can insert? Is that something like the internet kind of stalks you and you wake up one day and it's just there?
Yeah, IMDb is easy. Like actually, honestly, anybody could put themselves on IMDb if they've made a movie somehow. Really easy. That's no problem. Wikipedia, I'm assuming it's kind of the same way, but there is a Wikipedia article on me that I have no idea who wrote it and where it came from, but it was really cool one day. Like I found myself on Wikipedia and it was accurate. Like somebody had really done the research about the things I do and the things I've been working on and things like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. It was really cool. Surprising and kind of weird.
Yeah,
but cool.
You have a lot of surprising and weird stuff in your life. Mostly surprising and fascinating, because apparently I have here Spike Lee is a part of your life, and I'd like to know more of that.
Yeah, so he was my professor at NYU in the graduate film school, and he's like any professor. Like you can sign up for office hours with Spike Lee, and you do that, and you go to him. You give him your script. He'll read it ahead of time. and you'll talk about your script, or he'll watch edits of your film and give really insightful notes. Like, he gives so much time to young filmmakers that a lot of people don't know about, but because he doesn't make a big deal out of it, but he gives so much back in terms of time.
Wow. What was your first impression? Like, I guess, did you know that the class you were registering for was Spike Lee? And like, I gotta do this.
Yeah. You know who the instructor is. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So it's great. Like, it's kind of it's a weird position because I've seen most of his movies. Like, I grew up on his movies, or I'd go to film festivals and see him there or see his movies. And then you're sitting in a classroom with him, or you're sitting in his office, and he's giving you notes on something you wrote. It's amazing. Like, it's surreal.
That is definitely surreal. Okay, Doubles with Slight Pepper. Let's talk about it. Let's dive into it. Briefly, let's have you tell us what the short film was about.
Doubles with Slight Pepper is a story about a father that has been estranged from his family in Trinidad for many years. He returns from Canada to try to rekindle the relationship that he has with his wife and his son.
Okay. Now, the first few lines of the film, I am 104th generation Brahmin. That's a lie. Right out the gate, it automatically pulls me in, because it makes me think. I have a lot of friends and family who swear that they're from Brahmin lineage. Like, is that a lie? Is that something that's kind of projected on our society? Because it's like 4 social classes of Hinduism, and I don't hear a lot of people saying they're non-Brahmin. So I'm just curious, like, it's just a very interesting way to, kind of pull you in there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That opening line was specifically written as a critique of these things that you're talking about, the caste system that goes back to India, but was never really brought to the Caribbean. But some people still cling to it in a sense of trying to think that they're better than some people. And I'm really against any sort of form of people trying to divide themselves or set themselves apart from one another, because particularly when our ancestors came to the Caribbean, I felt it was an opportunity to leave some of those, in my opinion, really bad things to the side and really start something fresh and new.
Yeah, it almost like added to the, like, if they had like some baggage back home, they want to say the Brahmins to get a fresh start. So it's almost like a way of them of being optimistic, like, hey, I'm this, so we're all the same, maybe. So
right, yeah, but I don't know when somebody says that, and I know people that have said that to me, or they insist it, and my question is, so what? Like, what does that mean? Why are you saying that? Why is that of some importance to you and your relationship to me?
Very true, yeah. Now, was there any elements of your life that was kind of extracted and kind of put into this short film?
Yeah, I mean, the entire film is based upon, I guess not based upon, but inspired by the relationship that I had with my own father. And the relationship that I had with my father was great. It's not like the relationship in the film, but my father, many years ago, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And if people know about Alzheimer's, they'll know that there's no cure. It's just, how quick is that slope down going to be? And my father was living in Canada, and I was living in New York, and I'd go back and forth a lot to see him. And towards the end of his life, like, those changes that happen in somebody with Alzheimer's became really obvious. And towards the end of his life, it really became as if I was meeting him for the first time. And it's that feeling of what it's like to meet your father for the first time towards the end of their life. That became, I guess, what I was trying to capture, the feeling in the film.
My condolences on your father, and I feel like you did successfully capture those nuances. I felt that relationship was, you felt that change in their relationship from the very beginning, when the film kind of pulls you in there to how that relationship plays out towards the end, and really well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Now, this story was set in Christmas, or around Christmas time. Was there a reason behind that?
Yeah, I started around Christmas because in my mind, these are really highlights in, I guess, Trinidadian culture, and I'm assuming Guyanese culture as well. There are things that happen that are very distinct to Trinidadian culture around Christmas, whether it's really specific foods, like fruitcake and things like that, or music like parang, which is, Spanish language music that's really only played around Christmas time in Trinidad. So I tried to highlight those things because those are things that are really distinctly Trinidadian, that only occur during that time.
And it does set a type of marker, because in Trinidad, there's always the same type of weather So it kind of gives you like a little bit of a holiday end of the year.
Yeah, it marks the passage of time, right? Because here, North America, there's the 4 seasons. People know, like, the passage of time there. But in Trinidad, because the weather's just so consistent, mostly, at least, Christmas is the time where we're just like, oh, there's a new year coming up, and people take the opportunity. They'll clean their entire house. They'll buy new curtains. They'll buy, new tablecloths, everything, just for that time.
Now I want to read to you one of my favorite lines from the film. All I want to do is look you in the eye and make sure I don't see myself. Now, for me, that's one of the best lines in the entire film, and it's the son saying it to the father. And I feel, growing up in a West Indian family, if I said that line to my dad, they'd grapple me and share licks, and that didn't happen in the film. And I feel because there's more of a story, so it's a little stranger than fiction. But do you remember that? Do you remember, like, it's such a powerful just feeling to kind of either end the scene or just have that relationship with them. And
yeah, I mean, this is the actors doing a great job, right? But to me, the line is about someone that is trying to not admit that they are who they are, or who their family is, or the relationship that he has with his father. Like, he's constantly trying to distance himself from his father and be distinct from that. And by the end, I'm not sure if he believes that still.
Now, this short film, Doubles with Slight Pepper, it's won numerous awards, and it's even been, correct me if I'm wrong, licensed by a Japanese television station?
Yeah. I mean, I've been really fortunate in that the film has struck a chord with people literally around the world, which is phenomenal. I mean, every filmmaker wants their films to be seen by as much people as possible. So a Japanese distribution company licensed it. PBS licensed it, so it played literally across America on PBS, which was, I mean, that's great. Like, what more can you ask for?
That's incredible. Well, more you can ask for is that it was also on an airplane, on an in-flight movie.
Yeah, it was on Air Canada for a few months, which is cool. So people would just, like, on their seat back, or if they're flying to Vancouver, wherever they're flying to, they'd have the chance to watch it. And what's great is that I would get random emails from people, I don't know who, just randomly be like, oh, I saw your film on my flight to Calgary or whatever, and I really liked it. And it was just people I'd never heard of, never knew before, but they'd watch the film and then they'd look me up afterwards, which is great. Like, that takes a lot of effort to do that.
That's great that this has had such an impact around the world, and people are just reaching out to you and just saying, hey, this is impressive. This is really good. And congrats on that.
Thank you.
And even more congrats, you've also had an Emmy Award nomination for a Sesame Street song. So you are also a musician, songwriter. How many hats you got?
I don't write the songs for Sesame Street. They give me the songs,
okay,
and then I'll make the videos for them, the music videos. I direct them.
Oh, okay, so the Sesame Street song, Beautiful Skin, that's the music video or the song video that you have directed, and that's incredible.
Yeah, so Beautiful Skin was the very first one that I did for them, which turned out really well. I mean, I think it's they actually use it as an example of good music videos for Sesame Street.
Now I have to ask, and I feel like I have to say this pun, how do you get to Sesame Street? How do you get from Ian Harnarine there?
You take the R train, you get it at Steinway. No, I mean, they actually shoot it in Queens and Astoria, but I met them through the Toronto Film Festival, which has been really kind to me. The Toronto Film Festival also has a kids film festival, and every year the people that make Sesame Street, Sesame Workshop, go up there, and they're always interested in meeting new filmmakers. And so the Toronto Film Festival was nice enough to connect us.
That's great.
Yeah,
it's really great. Now, what I think people want to know is, how do you kind of walk the line between maintaining your rent, paying the bills, having a job, and still providing that space for you to create and progress in this very aggressive industry? How do you do that?
I think it's a really good question that we don't talk a lot about, particularly in this industry. How do people actually make a living? Personally, I don't make enough money off of my films or off of the creative work that I do to make a living. So I teach, and that's what pays the bills right now.
And the teaching allows you that time to kind of, it gives you, like, during the week, and you find time in your schedule I guess that's your routine or your plan.
Yeah, I mean, so I've like I said, I'm a professor, so it's in academia, and because of that, it's a pretty sweet gig. I mean, I teach 2 classes a week, and then I'm done. So I've got a lot of time to devote to my other work, whether it's writing or editing or whatever the case is. And so I'm really fortunate. Like, it's relatively good pay for not a lot of work in terms of when I physically have to be somewhere.
And most universities are encouraging this, that they're encouraging their professors to be up to date, you know, if you're a scientist or you're a filmmaker, you know, to have to do that. And your transition from astronomy to teaching film, that's a big leap, and you've had so much experience on that. So
yeah, I think that's one of the important things that, you know, universities or colleges or whatever want, is they want people that are still working, that still know what's going on in the industry, but also have connections that they can pass on to students as well. So I think it works for everyone.
Okay, cool. I have an interesting question for you. Working as an artist, say, but your culture is being a conflict. And what I mean by that is I feel like there's a couple of paths you can take. You can embrace your culture as an artist, like people synonymous with their heritage, like Ian Harnarine. I know a lot of your work stems from the West Indian heritage, but there are people not having the culture being the forefront for their and mostly for their artistic merit, like M. Night Shyamalan, Mindy Kaling, Aziz Ansari. They're not known for being brown, being that. They have a sense of that. Is one path more advantageous than the other, or is someone who says they're a West Indian artist will always be West Indian, and it's almost blasphemous to separate West Indian from your art? Like, it'll always be with you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I know what you're saying about Aziz Ansari and Mindy Kaling. They're people that are, you're right, their work is not about being Indian or whatever the case is, but I don't know, I still think what they're doing is important, because just by their very presence on television they're a brown face on TV. And for the most part, they have not American names, right? Like, Aziz Ansari is not the same as Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise in terms of their name, and people know their names. So I think even that says a lot. In terms of what's important to me is even work that I'm doing that's not my work, like the work that I do for Sesame Street. It's important for me to still have a bit of my culture or whatever that is in those films itself. So all of the films that I do for Sesame Street will try to include, you know, a West Indian kid somehow in one form or another. And to me, that's important, because that to me is what diversity is.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it makes so much sense when you think about it, that people like M. Night Shyamalan, Aziz Ansari, they provide that presence on the screen, and on the other side, you guys are providing opportunities for other immigrant families, immigrant people, people who are not represented. And I think both sides kind of need each other in a way, and we're all attacking it from different angles. So I think that's definitely a team effort. It takes a village to get on TV.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you need people both in front of the camera and behind the camera, but also the people that are making the decisions about what content is getting made or being shown. You need representation in all of those areas. Representation
is a great segue to my next question, which is, if we have a great West Indian feature film script floating around Hollywood, how much of that do you feel will be casted by East Indians?
As it stands now, the infrastructure, I think, in terms of West Indians in media, I don't think that there is a support system there in terms of can a feature film get made, but also get seen and get distribution to where it would need to be financially viable. You're right, like, I think for the most part in general, when you've got people playing Indo-Caribbeans, it's mostly East Indians playing those characters. And to me, that's a problem. Like, I've tried to completely go against that in all of the work that I do, because to me it's a really distinct culture that needs to be respected and really, I don't want to say set apart, but appreciated as something different than Indian culture.
To play devil's advocate, because that's why I'm here today. Say you don't have an East Indian playing West Indian, and someone who doesn't know about our history, our culture, saying, hey, aren't East Indians just West Indians in itself? They just have to learn the culture and they'll be respectful. What's wrong with that? Isn't the blood the same? Isn't there, it's kind of where the lineage is almost the same? What's the big deal?
Yeah, no, I mean that's definitely a devil's advocate position. I don't know. Like to me, there's something that reads false in it. Like if you've seen, some of these films that have Indian actors playing Indo-Caribbeans, the accent's wrong, but I also just don't feel that they understand the characters. Sure, they can do their research and this and that, but I feel like there's something that's different. But it's also an opportunity for us to represent ourselves. And when you take that opportunity away from people, I think that does a disservice to everyone, whether it's a film or television or what have you. But at the same time, I understand why those decisions are made, because the fact of the matter is that Bollywood actors do command an audience, whereas a small-time Indo-Caribbean actor doesn't have that publicity or that recognition that on screen. And so you can argue that those films don't get made if those Bollywood actors are not in those movies, and that's possibly true. But at least for me, I'm not willing, at least not yet, to make that compromise.
So how do we get to that next level? How do we get to that Crazy Rich Asians, Black Panther type of next level?
Yeah, I mean that's another good question. I think it really comes down to people giving an opportunity, and people being able to support those films, and not like bootlegging everything or stealing everything off of the internet, but like showing people, like you vote with your dollar, right? And so if you believe it's important to have, movies or television shows with West Indians by West Indians, then you've got to pay for it. And I know that's like a really difficult thing for people to deal with, particularly when they're used to just getting everything for free all the time.
But it starts there, the support. From there, we can build.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it starts with the only way to make something is with money, right? Like, sadly, that's just the way this industry is. Like, how do you pay for crews? How do you pay for all of these things? To do that, you need money. And where do you get that money? It's, it's from wealthy people most of the time. And you've got to be able to convince those people that they're either going to make their money back or this is going to mean something to a lot of people. So it's something more than money that you're trying to appeal to people with.
So what's next for you? What's next for Ian Harnarine 2019 and 2020?
A bunch of things. I guess like more Sesame Street stuff. Like we're just in the finishing of some more Sesame Street work. I've written the feature film of Doubles with Slight Pepper that will hopefully go into pre-production later this year and we'll shoot in 2020. I've also adapted a book called Sukuyant, which is written by David Cheriandy, and it's a book about a Trinidadian family growing up in Toronto, which is very personal to me as well. So those two things are like the main things that I'm working on right now.
That's awesome. I'm excited that there's a full feature length of Doubles with Slight Pepper. Are you gonna kind of pick up where it left off? Are you gonna like kind of reboot it already? And it's like, or is it gonna kind of be like a sequel to it?
Yeah, I mean it's the same. It's sort of the same father-son story, but it mostly takes place in North America now. So all of the things that the father was talking about in the short about his life back in Canada, those are the things that we're actually going to see, and those are a much bigger part of the story than in the short.
Awesome. Thank you for that inside scoop.
Yeah, of course.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Ian, for coming on the show. But before we let you go, I need you to answer these questions. These are very serious questions, and we need some very serious answers from you right now. All this was just fodder for these questions.
I'm ready.
You ready? Are you ready?
I think I am.
All right. Question 1. What is your favorite West Indian food?
Doubles with Slight Pepper. Next question.
I wouldn't have accepted any other response. It would have made so much sense if it was doubles. Yes. Question 2. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite West Indian phrase?
I heard it over Christmas. Better belly bust than food go to waste.
Better belly bust than food go to waste.
Right.
So your family is encouraging gluttony.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's. I mean, like obviously the literal interpretation, which is the context that it was said, but I think it's more about just, enjoy yourself and like have fun right now.
Question 3. Name a thing you do that reveals your West Indianness.
Good question. I don't know, especially after the holidays, I have to say, I think the sense of family is becoming more and more important to me. And I think that's really ingrained in our culture. How we relate to, our family, but also the extended family that we have, whether it's aunts and uncles, cousins, how important all those people are in, raising families, but raising culture as well. That's becoming more and more important to me, and I'm paying way more attention to those things now.
That is a good response to that question. Any message you'd like to leave with our viewers?
I guess I like to be critical of the community as well.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
Right, and I think one of the things I really include myself in this, is we can be more supportive of our people when it comes to particularly non-traditional jobs that people have. Where there's doctors and lawyers and whatever, accountants and whatever else, which
are all respectable professionals.
Absolutely,
we need them.
Absolutely, and probably what our parents wanted us to do.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of people, and you guys are interviewing a lot of them, and you're getting to know them and highlighting those people, whether they are politicians or writers or filmmakers or artists, whatever those things are. I think we can try to do a better job of supporting them, whether that's bringing them to light, whether in media or just even supporting them financially with paying for their work. It's really important, and I think we can all do a better job of that.
Very well said. I'll let you have the last word. That was really good. Well, thank you very much for joining the show. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you, Aaron, of course.
Thank you. Hey guys, thank you for watching. For more information on Ian Harnarine, click on the links below. For more information on I Am West Indian, you can click somewhere on this screen. And for more information on Flat Tire Productions, you can hit subscribe and check out our social media. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.